Hey YouTube, this is my teacher Sam. I'm a Twitch partner and chess TV streamer. Do you find yourself losing to gambits? Well, this is my counter every gambit series. Now personally, ever since I started chess, I started out with the Danish Gambit. Well, first off, let me show you what that is in case you don't know. Pop the e4, they pop the e5, and then pop the d4, and then they take, obviously, it's just like, hey, there's a pawn, they take, and then the crazy thing is you pop the c3 here, and then they take, and then you just develop even more with your bishop right to c4, and then if they take, you take with your dark square bishop right to b2, and this is the first movement of the Danish Gambit, and of course it goes on and on, but the whole point of this is that all the black pieces, especially the minor pieces that usually like to be developed in the beginning of the game, stays home while your double, duo, wonderful, sexy bishops are out in the open, and so it's a very open nature. Now, I fell in love with the Danish Gambit because of two reasons. First, I love Danishes. I have quite a sweet tooth. But second, at the time when I started playing chess, I hated closed positions. My knowledge wasn't great enough to fully understand what to do in closed positions, so I like the open space. I have a kind of personality where, I just like it very open. I like to go out in the field and just go for a run, I want no obstacles. Now, I gotta say, I went to about 1300 with relative ease with this opening, and so if you're struggling in the 1300 mark, then I would highly suggest this opening because it really helps you to capitalize on open space. But anyway, this video is all about countering the Danish Gambit. Now, I gotta say, when I started playing chess, I loved playing the Danish Gambit, but I hated playing against it. So of course, naturally, I started studying a little bit and discovered a way to actually punish Danish users like me. And so, let's study together and learn some principles along the way. Let me go ahead and flip the board here, and let's go through the motions one more time. E4, E5, D4, E takes D. Now, of course, over here, C3, and here, our first principle is a pawn behind a pawn is useless, and so why not make use of it? Yes, I could take over there, but let's try using our useless pawn and making it actually quite useful. Pop the D7 to D5. Now, I absolutely love this move because I'm attacking with the black pieces. I'm not just simply defending. Not only that, this pawn move actually serves a multi-purpose because it opens up the diagonal for my light square bishop. So in essence, the D5 move makes use of a useless pawn and opens up some squares for my light square bishop. Now, what I see most of the time in this very position is that the white queen usually comes out and takes the D4 pawn. Now, I generally do want to save this pawn, and of course, I got two movements here. I could pop the bishop over here. I could pop the knight over here, simply because the bishop saves this pawn, and the knight also saves this pawn. But the problem is, when I'm taking a look here sometimes, and let's say that, I'm blitzing, I'm trying to save as much time as I can, these kind of positions, I want to make sure that I save as much time as possible. And so, we need to know some sort of principles here. And the second principle over here is that, usually knights come out before bishops, if at all possible. And here, because I have a knight and a bishop coming out at the same time, I would usually choose the knight. Now, I love this move because once the knight comes out, if white wants to be super aggressive and pop the pawn over there, thinking that, oh, now I have to retreat my knight, I have a very, very smooth move here, an attacking move, where I could pop my other knight out, forcing the queen to move. You see, because if he takes my knight, obviously I'm going to take his queen with my knight, my other knight, and so the queen usually moves to a different location. Now, what I noticed in most of these positions is that the white bishop usually comes out attacking my knight and actually pinning it. Very smart move, and I really commend white pieces to do this. But in this very sneaky moment, I have a very sneaky move that's gonna just blow the white pieces out of the waters. And the knight just simply moves away so that it doesn't get eaten right to the very active E4 square. Now, this knight is so powerful, it serves multi-purposes. Not only is it right in the center of the board and just eyeing down so many squares, but it gives a very, very nice defensive square right to C5. And guess what piece is gonna go right there? Of course, the bishop right to C5. I mean, that is the goal right there. So usually, knights will pop right to a D2, and then instead of moving my pieces again, all I gotta do is pop the bishop to C5. Now take a look at this for a moment, right? So many of my pieces are being attacked, but at the same time, I'm simply saying I'm not gonna retreat, but instead, I'm just gonna keep on attacking. And what do? I attack his most powerful piece, his queen, and I'm trying to capitalize on that. I'm trying to make white pieces know that you made a mistake, but bring it out your queen way too early. And so my motive, my objective is to attack his most valuable piece, the queen. And so once I do this, he has no choice but to move his queen. Now usually in this very position, white, I would say 99% of the time, moves the queen right to a4. Simply because there's a very fine tactic here, right? So let's say I just do a random movement, right? He attacks, I take, he checks with the fork, and so if I move my bishop over here, he could take there. If I save with my queen, then he could take my rook. So I mean, that's kind of the idea that white is probably having over here. So when queen goes right to a4, what white has forgotten is that he let go of his f2 pawn. As you can see right there, the queen was actually defending it. Now he's trying to be more active himself and telling me that, well, take the f2 pawn and I'm gonna try to snatch a rook or something like that. That's probably, hopeful chess here. But the problem is I simply take on the pawn, and there are some problems for white right now. He is already crumbling. Now enjoy the sequence here. Bishop d7. Now white might be a little bit happy, and if he takes on c5, there is a huge problem for white. Probably is a little bit obvious, but yes, knight goes right to d3, checking the king, forking the queen. Obviously, this does not work. And so, white has to take on the d5 pawn. Now over here in this very position, you know that your knight is gonna capture on h1, capture the rook, no problems here. The rook cannot go anywhere, so this is gonna happen no matter what. And so basically, you know that you're gonna be up on pieces, why not trade the queens? Now, when I was under 1300, I would always try to save my queens whenever possible, but you gotta remember that every time you're up a piece, or even up on material in exchange or whatnot, simply trade as many pieces as possible, even the queens. You will always gain that advantage. So over here, I have some options. I could pop my bishop right to the a4 square. I could pop my bishop to g4. Both have very clear ideas of my bishops have awesome diagonals, and I'm gonna now dominate the game. So let's try this just one more time. e4, e5, d4, e takes on d4, c3, d5. Again, making use of the useless pawn. Queen takes on d4. Knight to f6, and if he becomes extra aggressive attacking my knight, thinking that my knight will move, I simply pop my other knight to c6. Bishop comes to b5 to pin my knight. I retreat my other knight away to e4. White tries to develop himself and attack my very dominant e4 knight, and then a key move right here, bishop to c5, attacking the queen once again. Queen goes to a4, and I simply take on f2, and this should be a very, very good game for you. And now remember, bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, bishop to d7. Shouldn't worry you at all. Like I said, if he takes my bishop, obviously that is a fork right there, so he's likely gonna take the pawn, and it's still a very, very good game for you. Alright, takes the pawn, you move the bishop either here or here, whatever you want. I personally like it over here. No matter what you do in this position, try to exchange the queens, and you're gonna have a very fun round, man. If you guys enjoyed this, why don't you go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and why don't you join me on my real live chess, real live streams on Twitch. My Twitch handle is twitch.tv/myteachersam, and let's have some fun. Let's learn chess together. Ba-boom!